The courtroom was full. People whispered to each other as they waited for the judge to arrive. On one side sat Zayn, a rich, confident businessman in a black suit. His face carried a proud smile. His expensive watch, shiny shoes, and smug expression told the world. He thought he had already won. On the other side sat a woman named Maya. She looked very simple, wearing plain clothes, her hair tied back, no makeup, no jewelry. She held a small black bag on her lap. Her eyes were calm. She said nothing. She didn't even look around. Most people thought she was nervous or scared. Zayn leaned toward his lawyer and whispered, "Look at her. Weak, quiet. This will be easy." His lawyer smirked. "Don't worry, sir. After today, no one will believe her again." The court officer called out, "All rise." Judge entering the courtroom. Everyone stood as the judge entered. She was a middle-aged woman, serious and experienced. She took her seat and looked at both sides. The case began. Zayn's lawyer stood up and began speaking loudly, trying to impress the courtroom. "This woman, Maya, has lied, cheated, and tried to destroy a respected man's business. She worked under Mr. Zayn and committed fraud. She misused company funds. And now, she wants to play the victim." People in the courtroom murmured. The lawyer continued, louder than before. "We have emails. We have statements. We have witnesses. She must be punished, not only for fraud, but for trying to ruin an honest man's name." Maya remained silent. The judge looked at her. "Miss Maya, do you have something to say in your defense?" Maya slowly stood up. "Not yet, Your Honor." Her voice was soft, calm, and steady. Zayn laughed under his breath. "She's already giving up." The court took a short break. People began whispering and looking at Maya. "She looks so weak," one woman said. "I heard she was fired for stealing," a man added. But then, something strange happened. As Maya bent down to pick up her water bottle, a file slipped out of her black bag. It landed near the foot of a man sitting in the front row of the audience. He looked down and picked it up. His eyes widened. He stared at the front cover. "Confidential. Naval Operations. Level for clearance only." Before he could speak, Maya gently took it from his hand. "Sorry, that's private," she said quietly. The man looked shocked. "Dilly, what is this?" Maya said nothing. She placed the file back in her bag and zipped it shut. The man leaned toward the person next to him and whispered, "That file, it looked military. Navy-level stuff. Why would she have something like that?" The whisper spread. People began murmuring. "Is she in the Navy? No way. Look at her. But that file." Zayn noticed the whispers. He frowned. He turned toward his lawyer and asked, "What are they talking about?" His lawyer shrugged. "Just ignore it. Focus on winning." But something had changed. The judge returned and asked Maya again, "Do you want to respond to these accusations?" Maya stood up. "Your Honor, I will respond. But not today. I have something to submit tomorrow. Something that will prove the truth." The judge looked curious. "Very well. One day to submit evidence. Final hearing tomorrow." Court was dismissed for the day. As people left the courtroom, Zayn followed Maya outside. He walked beside her, smiling confidently. "You think you can win, Maya? You're wasting your time." Maya didn't stop walking. She said calmly, "I don't need to win. The truth will." Zayn laughed loudly. "You always liked acting tough, but you're alone now." Maya paused. She turned and looked him in the eyes. "I may look alone, but people like you always forget. Looks can lie." Zayn's smile faded just a little. She turned and walked away. That night, Maya sat in her small apartment. She opened the same black file slowly. Inside were photos, official letters, and mission reports. Some were stamped classified. One showed her name. Lieutenant Maya R. Khan, Special Tactical Forces, Navy SEAL Unit 9. She touched the photo gently. A younger version of herself in full uniform, standing in front of a helicopter. Her phone buzzed. A message appeared on the screen. Ready when you are. Just say the word. A. Maya smiled slightly. She whispered to herself, "They think I'm weak. They have no idea." That night, Maya couldn't sleep. The courtroom scenes kept replaying in her mind. Zayan's fake smile, his lawyer's cruel words, the whispers from the crowd, but none of it hurt her. She had faced worse. Much worse. She got out of bed quietly, walked to a small box in her closet, and opened it. Inside were memories no one knew about. Her old Navy ID, a torn piece of her uniform, a dog tag, and a photo of her standing with her SEAL unit. She sat down and stared at the photo. "You never needed to scream to be strong," she whispered to her younger self in the picture. Flashback. 5 years ago. The desert sun was burning hot. A military base hidden deep inside a restricted zone buzzed with activity. Among the noise, one name echoed through the camp. Lieutenant Maya. Mission briefing in 5 minutes. Maya, in full Navy SEAL uniform, stood tall. She had trained for this moment. She wasn't just one of the few female officers in her unit. She was the best shooter, strongest swimmer, and most fearless in combat drills. She had earned every badge, but she never showed off. She let her actions speak. During a rescue mission across the border, Maya's team was ambushed. While others panicked, she led them to safety, even carrying a wounded officer on her back for miles. She saved 3 lives that day. The mission was marked successful, and her name was written in internal reports, but never shown to the world. Because her work was always secret. Why she left? Everything changed after one mission went wrong. They were sent to recover missing intel from a terrorist camp, but someone leaked their location. A trap was waiting. Maya's best friend, Ali, didn't survive. She blamed herself. She requested leave. Her heart wasn't the same anymore. After weeks of silence, she decided to leave the force. Quietly. No news. No ceremony. She just disappeared from the military world. Back to the present. Maya closed the photo box. She wasn't that girl anymore. She had buried that part of herself, until Zayan came back into her life. How Zayan betrayed her. After leaving the military, Maya joined Zayan's tech company. She worked hard, never asked for attention, never shared her past. Zayan noticed her intelligence, but he also noticed something else, her silence. He thought it meant weakness. One night, he tried to cross a line, an unprofessional message, an invitation to his private villa. Maya rejected him. From that day, everything changed. He started giving her the worst projects, insulting her in front of others, and cutting her pay without reason. When she complained, he fired her. Then, to destroy her name completely, he filed a fake case, saying she had stolen confidential files. A plan in motion. Maya wasn't someone who begged for justice. She prepared for it. She began collecting evidence quietly. Old emails, office CCTV footage, voice recordings, and even testimony from other female employees who had faced the same harassment but were afraid to speak. But that wasn't enough. She needed something Zayan couldn't silence. That's when she made one phone call. To an old contact from the Navy. A man who owed her his life. The shadow operative. At midnight, Maya met him in a quiet parking lot. He was dressed casually, but his eyes scanned every corner before he approached. "Maya, I heard you needed help," he said. "I need to prove who I really am. And I need your help unlocking the file from Mission Kilo X. It has my team's report and my name on it." The man hesitated. "That's a deep file. Classified. If this goes wrong, I'm not scared of danger. I'm scared of injustice." He nodded. "Okay, I'll get it to you by morning." Meanwhile, in Zayan's office, Zayan sat in his luxury chair, sipping wine and smiling. That woman thinks she can win. She doesn't know who I am. His assistant knocked. Sir, there's something you need to see. What now? She placed a tablet in front of him. It showed an online blog post titled, Who is Maya Khan? Is the woman in court a former Navy SEAL? Zayn's smile slowly faded. This is just a rumor, right? His assistant looked nervous. There are people online claiming she was in the military. Some even say special ops. Zayn's hands tightened around the glass. Find out everything. I want her past buried. But he was already too late. Maya's past wasn't her weakness. It was her weapon. The sun rose slowly, but Maya had already been awake for hours. She sat at her small dining table, sipping black coffee. Her eyes were tired, but focused. Her mind was sharp, remembering every lie Zayn told, every insult he threw at her in court, and every fake smile he wore. Today was not just about fighting back. Today was about preparing for war. Quietly, powerfully. A strange man follows Maya. After leaving home, Maya walked through the busy street toward the metro station. She wore a long coat and carried the same black bag. But something felt off. She glanced to her right. A man in a blue hoodie had been walking behind her for a while. Too close, too careful. She crossed the road. He crossed too. She entered a shop. He waited outside. Maya smiled to herself. So Zayn sent someone already. She left through the shop's back door, entered a narrow alley, and disappeared. The man ran around to find her, but she was gone. Confused, he looked left and right. Suddenly, a strong hand pulled him by the collar and slammed him against the wall. It was Maya. Her voice was calm but cold. You should tell your boss. Next time, send someone better trained. The man's eyes widened in fear. Before he could reply, she let him go and disappeared into the shadows again. A private gym, her training ground. Maya entered an old hidden gym in the outskirts of the city. It looked abandoned from the outside. Broken windows, rusted lock. But inside, it was her secret world. Punching bags, weights, wooden dummies, Navy training gear. This is where Maya trained, alone silently. She wrapped her hands, stood in front of the heavy bag, and began punching. Each punch held emotion, pain, anger, strength, control. Sweat dripped from her face, but she didn't stop. You can call me weak. You can insult my silence. But I know who I am. She paused only when her phone buzzed. It was a message from her Navy contact. File ready. Dropping it to your secure drive. Be careful. Maya downloaded the file. Inside was the original classified report from Mission Kilo X, the operation that had almost taken her life and made her a hero. It had her name, her photo, and a mission summary signed by 2 Navy commanders. This was more than proof. It was power. Meanwhile, at Zayn's office, Zayn stood by the window, nervous for the first time. His assistant returned with news. Sir, we searched all government databases. Maya Khan was definitely in the Navy. Not just that, she was part of a top-level unit. Most of her records are sealed. What do you mean sealed? It means she was in Black Ops, secret missions. Zayn's face turned red. Why didn't we know this before? Because she never spoke about it. No one knew. Zayn turned away, punching the wall in anger. She tricked us all. Court preparation, the calm before the storm. That evening, Maya sat with her laptop, connecting all the evidence. The CCTV footage from Zayn's office, voice recordings of him insulting her, screenshots of private messages he sent, statements from 2 other female employees, finally ready to speak up. She added one final file at the end, the Mission Kilo X report. She renamed the entire folder. Truth always wins. She transferred everything to a USB drive and placed it in her bag. Late-night visitor. Around midnight, someone knocked on her door. She moved slowly, looked through the peephole. It was a police officer. She opened the door. "Miss Maya Khan." "Yes. We received a tip that you're carrying classified documents. We need to search your home." Maya didn't move. "Do you have a warrant?" The officer hesitated. "No, but we were told." "Then come back with one," she said, and closed the door. She sighed. Zayn was now using the police too. But she wasn't afraid. She picked up her phone and made one call to a reporter who had covered military stories before. "Tomorrow, bring your camera to court. There's a story the world needs to see." It was early morning. The sky was still dark when Maya stepped out of her building, dressed simply but sharply. A black suit, a neat ponytail, her black bag over her shoulder. She looked calm, but her steps were firm. She was no longer walking like someone defending herself. She was walking like someone about to strike. On the way to court, the roads were quiet, but Maya felt something wasn't right. A white van had followed her for 3 streets. She changed direction. The van turned too. She walked faster. So did they. Suddenly, the van stopped in front of her. 2 men jumped out. "Give us the bag," one of them said. They didn't look like regular thieves. They were clean, well-dressed, professionals. But Maya didn't panic. She placed the bag on the ground slowly, as if giving up. Then, bam, she kicked one man in the chest before he could move. The second man rushed toward her. She twisted his arm, flipped him to the ground, and used his own belt to tie his hands. Within seconds, both were down, breathing hard, shocked. She picked up her bag and leaned toward them. "Tell Zayn, if he wants to stop me, he better come himself." She walked away, her heartbeat steady. Crowds outside the court. By 10 a.m., the court was full. Reporters had arrived. One of them, Samir, a well-known investigative journalist, stood at the gate with his cameraman. "We're here live outside the district court, where Maya Khan is expected to reveal shocking evidence against her former employer, Zayn Malik." Zayn arrived shortly after, stepping out of a black car, wearing sunglasses. He looked angry. As cameras flashed, a reporter asked, "Mr. Zayn, is it true that the woman you called a fraud is actually a trained Navy SEAL?" Zayn didn't answer. He stormed inside the court. Inside the courtroom, everyone took their seats. Maya entered silently. But this time, she wasn't invisible. People stared. Whispers started again, but now with respect, not judgment. Zayn stared at her. He was no longer smiling. The judge entered. "Miss Maya, you mentioned yesterday you had new evidence. You may present it now." Maya stood and walked to the front with a calm face. She handed the USB drive to the court assistant. "This drive contains everything: emails, voice recordings, security footage, and 2 personal statements from other employees." The judge nodded. "Please proceed." The courtroom went quiet as the screen turned on. The truth plays on screen. First, a video played. A clip from the office's security camera. It showed Zayn yelling at Maya. "You think I can't ruin you? No one will believe you. You're nothing." The crowd gasped. Next, an audio recording played. It was Zayn offering her money to stay silent. Then screenshots appeared, of texts he had sent late at night. Finally, the screen changed. A photo appeared. Maya, in uniform, standing next to a Navy helicopter. A mission badge on her chest. Then a scanned letter from the Navy was shown. Lieutenant Maya R. Khan served with honor and bravery in classified missions. Her conduct remains clean and respectful of duty. The judge looked shocked. So did everyone else. The court fell silent. Zayn looked like he had seen a ghost. The court was silent. Even the sound of papers turning felt loud. Everyone waited, eyes on the judge, minds racing, hearts pounding. The truth had come out, but still, nobody knew what the final decision would be. Maya sat quietly, her fingers lightly holding her black bag on her lap. Zayn sat across the room, no longer confident. His shoulders were tense, eyes tired, and his face pale. The judge looked up. This court has reviewed all the evidence, including the videos, audio recordings, and documents provided by Miss Maya Khan. A pause. Zayn's lawyer whispered something in his ear. He shook his head slowly. There was nothing left to say. The verdict. We find that Maya Khan was wrongly accused by her former employer, Mr. Zayn Malik. The court declares Maya Khan innocent of all charges. Gasps filled the courtroom. Maya closed her eyes for a second, letting those words wash over her. Furthermore, the judge continued, we are forwarding this case for a criminal investigation into Mr. Zayn Malik for harassment, character assassination, and attempted misuse of legal power. Zayn stood up in shock. This is ridiculous. She tricked everyone. Mr. Zayn, sit down, the judge ordered firmly. Zayn's lawyer pulled him by the arm, whispering, you've lost. Don't make it worse. Tears and applause. As Maya stepped out of the courtroom, people clapped softly. Reporters ran toward her. Cameras flashed. But Maya didn't stop to speak. She walked past them all, straight and strong. Samir, the journalist, smiled and said softly to the camera, she didn't fight with words. She fought with truth. And today, justice stood with her. Flashback. Why she stayed silent. That evening, Maya sat at a small cafe near the lake. Her old Navy friend, Anaya, joined her. You could have shut him down from day one. Anaya said, why didn't you? Maya looked out at the calm water. Because I didn't want to use my past like a weapon. I wanted to fight this battle like any other woman. Not as a soldier, not with force, but with proof. And what if he had won? Then I would have lost, but not my soul. Anaya placed a hand on hers. You're braver than anyone I know. Zayn's fall begins. Zayn returned to his office, but everything was already falling apart. Security guards stopped him at the entrance. Sorry, sir, the board has suspended you. You're not allowed inside. What? I built this company. Sir, please step back. He turned and saw a large banner being taken down from the front of the building. It had his face on it. It was replaced with the words, justice, respect, change. Zayn's phone rang. Again. But he didn't answer. Nobody wanted him anymore. Maya's offer. Later that night, Maya got a call from a defense organization. We saw your case, your bravery, your silence, your strength. We want you to lead a new program. For women. For justice. Maya smiled. Thank you. But I need time. I want to help, but on my terms. The woman on the phone agreed. Take all the time you need, Miss Khan. We'll wait. The letter. Before sleeping, Maya pulled out a small letter from her drawer. It was handwritten. Faded. It read, to Maya. If the world ever turns against you, don't shout. Don't fight. Just stand tall and let the truth speak. Because silence is not weakness. It's power. Dad. She folded the letter gently and placed it back. Her father, once a Navy officer, had taught her everything, without ever raising his voice. Final scene. A new morning. The next morning, Maya walked through the same streets again. But something had changed. People no longer looked down on her. Some smiled. Some nodded. Some even clapped quietly as she passed. The girl once called a liar had become a symbol. Not of revenge, but of quiet strength. Weeks passed. The court victory gave Maya her peace, her pride, and her voice back. But peace doesn't last forever, especially when evil is not ready to give up. A call from the police station. One rainy evening, Maya received a call. It was the city police. Miss Maya, you need to come to the station. It's urgent. She asked no questions. She just grabbed her coat and left. When she arrived, A senior officer greeted her with a serious face. Zayn Malik has escaped custody. He disappeared during a transfer to the central jail. Maya's eyes narrowed. How? We believe someone inside helped him. We're launching an investigation. Do you think he's coming after me? The officer nodded slowly. We believe you're still his main target. You need protection. But Maya shook her head. I don't need guards. I need to know where he is. A warning from an old friend. That night, Maya visited a quiet pub in the city. She met a man there, tall, bearded, calm. His name was Rehan, an old Navy friend who now worked in private security. He sat across the table, sipping tea. You should leave the city, Maya. You know I won't. He's not thinking straight. Zayn's ruined. He has nothing left to lose. That makes him dangerous. I know. Rehan looked at her seriously. If he comes, will you be ready? Maya looked him straight in the eyes. I was born ready. Zayn's hideout. Far away, in a small abandoned farmhouse, Zayn sat with a few trusted men. His face had changed, more rough, more tired, but his eyes still burned with anger. She took everything from me. My company, my reputation, my future. One of the men asked, What now, boss? Zayn opened a black bag. Inside were blueprints of Maya's building, photos of her, and a small vial. We do it the old way. No more law. No more court. She ends tonight. A shadow at her window. Later that night, Maya sat by her window, reading a file about her new justice program. Rain poured outside. Suddenly, her lights flickered. She stood up. A shadow moved outside her window. Fast, silent. She grabbed a small metal rod from under her table. The power cut. Complete darkness. But Maya didn't panic. She moved slowly, using her memory of the house. Then, a loud crash from the kitchen. She moved toward it, silent as air. A man stood there with a knife. He ran at her. Maya rolled to the side and hit his hand. The knife fell. She kicked him hard and threw him into the wall. More men rushed in. She fought back, sharp, clean, quick, like a trained soldier. But there were too many. They pushed her down. Suddenly, a loud bang. Smoke filled the room. Someone pulled Maya out of the chaos. It was Rehan. You said you didn't need protection, he shouted. I followed anyway. They ran into the night, disappearing into the back alley. Zayn's mistake. Zayn watched from a nearby van, waiting to hear good news. But instead, one of his men called. She escaped. Someone helped her. She's gone. Zayn screamed in rage. She was supposed to be finished tonight. He threw the phone out the window. But he didn't know. A GPS tracker had been placed under his van. By the time he realized it, it was too late. Maya's plan begins. Maya returned to her safe house with Rehan. Her shoulder was bruised. Her lip was bleeding. But her spirit? Unshaken. We have enough now, Rehan said. Photos. GPS logs. Attack attempt. It's time. Maya nodded. Tomorrow, we end this. Not in secret, not in the dark. The city woke up to tension in the air. News of the failed attack on Maya Khan was everywhere. Some were angry. Some were scared. But most people, they were waiting to see how this final chapter would end. And Maya, she was ready. A message for Zayn. At 10 a.m., Maya appeared on live TV. She sat calmly, dressed in black, with a fresh bruise still visible on her cheek. She looked into the camera and spoke softly. Zayn Malik, you tried to destroy me in court. You failed. You tried to break into my home. You failed. Now you're hiding like a coward. Come out. Face me. One last time. The city watched in silence. She wasn't angry. She wasn't afraid. She was inviting war, with peace in her voice. Zayn's response. In his dark hideout, Zayn saw the message. He couldn't stop laughing. She thinks this is a movie. Fine. Let's give her the ending she wants. He grabbed his gun. His men tried to stop him. Don't go, sir. The police are everywhere. Let them be. I don't care. I want to see her face when she begs. But little did he know. This time, it was her trap. The final meeting spot. That night, Maya sent out a location. An abandoned Navy training ground outside the city. Isolated, silent, and forgotten. Exactly where it had all started for her. And where it would end for him. Rehan looked at her with worry. Are you sure? I was trained in that place. I know every corner. He doesn't. Still, you'll be alone. Maya nodded. That's the point. The showdown begins. At 11:45 p.m., a black car entered the gate. Zayn stepped out with a gun in his hand. He walked into the dark field, lit only by the moon. Maya stood waiting. No weapon, no fear, just silence. You should have stayed quiet, Zayn said. You ruined me. Maya didn't blink. No, Zayn, you ruined yourself. I just showed the world your face. You're still talking like you've won. You think I won't shoot you? He raised his gun. Do it, Maya said calmly. But before you do, look around. Suddenly, floodlights turned on. Dozens of police officers surrounded the field. Rehan stood with them, holding a walkie-talkie. Drop the gun, Zayn. It's over. Zayn's final fall. Zayn looked around, heart racing, mind spinning. No, this wasn't supposed to happen. He tried to run. Bang! A shot was fired near his feet. One more step, and we fire for real. An officer shouted. Zayn fell to his knees. Tears mixed with sweat on his face. I just wanted to scare her. I didn't mean to go this far. But no one believed him anymore. His lies were over. Maya's last words to him. As Zayn was handcuffed and dragged away, Maya walked up to him one last time. Do you know what I learned from you? Zayn didn't answer. That silence can be louder than screams. That pain can become power. And that no matter how strong darkness looks, one light is enough to destroy it. Zayn looked away, defeated. Maya turned and walked back, calm, proud, free. 6 months later, a new training academy opened in the city. It was called Project Shield, a place to train and empower women in law, defense, and leadership. At the ribbon-cutting ceremony, Maya gave a short speech. This place isn't just a building. It's a promise that no girl will be alone again. That truth will always have a voice. And that fear has no place here. People clapped. Some cried. Because they knew this wasn't just a personal victory. It was a victory for every silent fighter. It had been 1 year since Maya Khan stood in court, calm, accused, and underestimated. 1 year since she brought a criminal empire crashing down without firing a single bullet. And today, the world knew her not as just a woman, but as a symbol. The interview request. One morning, Maya received a message from a popular journalist named Lara Sheikh. Miss Maya, I'm making a documentary on women who changed history. You are at the top of my list. At first, Maya refused. She didn't want fame. She had never chased the spotlight. But Lara wasn't like other journalists. She said just one thing. What you did saved lives. What you say could save more. So Maya agreed. The filming begins. The cameras were set inside the Project Shield Academy. Maya wore her simple black uniform, hair tied, eyes calm. Lara sat across from her, notebook in hand. Maya, why didn't you speak up earlier? You had the power, the proof, even your Navy background. Maya smiled slightly. Because if I had shouted from the start, people would have said, she's strong. Of course she won. But I wanted to show the world that even a quiet girl with no power can fight and win if she holds the truth. A visit from a girl. Later that day, a young girl knocked at Maya's office. She wore glasses and looked nervous. "Miss Maya, my name is Roshni. I saw your interview." Maya invited her in. The girl spoke softly. "Someone at my workplace. He's hurting others. No one believes us. I want to fight, but I'm scared." Maya leaned forward. Being scared is normal. But standing up while scared, that's bravery. "What if I fail?" "Then you fail with pride. But if you stay silent, they'd win without a fight." Roshni wiped her tears and smiled. "Will you help me?" Maya nodded. "That's what we're here for." Zayn's fate. Meanwhile, deep inside a high-security prison, Zayn sat alone in his cell. No visitors, no calls. His trial had ended with a 15-year sentence. But the worst punishment, the world had forgotten him. His name, once feared, now meant nothing. He watched the news and saw Maya's face again. Respected, honored, powerful. He smashed the small TV on the wall. But no one cared. Not anymore. Maya's mission grows. Project Shield expanded across cities. Maya was invited to international panels, women's defense forums, and even military events. But she remained grounded. She walked the same streets, ate from the same small cafes, sat on park benches beside strangers. Because she believed, to protect the people, you must stay among the people. Final flashback. One night, Maya opened her father's old Navy journal. Inside, she found a note she hadn't seen before. It read, "Bravery is not always loud. Sometimes it is the quiet walk into a courtroom. Sometimes it is silence during a storm. And sometimes it is saying no when the world expects you to say yes." She smiled. That was her legacy now. Not as a soldier, not as a victim, but as a quiet storm that changed everything.